Do you think social media is, if it hasn't already, do you think it's going to become the go-to source for news and information within construction?
Yeah, it is. So, and again, I always say it, and I would say it with try not to be disrespectful. There is other ways of consuming information in our sector, and it's generally paper-based. It's generally a quarterly or monthly magazine that comes out. Yet when you talk to electricians and you ask them, do they buy a magazine? The answer is no. And then do they read one? No. And that's a general term. So that's pretty loose. There will be some that love it. There will be some that obviously, don't. But if you want to get to those electricians, you've got to, as I said earlier, go through the platforms that they're on. And if they're not reading magazines, which some will be, but if they're not reading magazines, how do you get that information to them? And people like it fast-paced in certain degrees. And then there's educational stuff as well. We've done a brilliant series in association with you on Conduit, where we did a full Gary-style teaching, introduction, explanation, every step goes through. Did a full set of videos on those. And then I repeated them all again with Rick, but this time we did them TikTok style, less than 60 seconds. We had over 2.5 hours of footage that we crunched down to 60 seconds. And the amount of colleges I go to, and somebody will say to me, you taught me how to bend conduit. And I get all big chest and, look at me. And I say, where did you watch it? TikTok.
Yeah.
I was like, just a little bit inside of me just dissolves away when I think, how have I managed to show you how to bend conduit? And they said, well, just pause it. I see the bit, pause it, flick it. And you think, if I hadn't have made that playlist, I wouldn't have serviced that younger audience on TikTok on bending conduit, because they were 8 or 10 minutes long. And when I was at Sparketing Live, I actually played the original video, which was about 11 minutes long. And I brought in all the individual ones on TikTok at the same time and numbered them. I'd actually did all the bends in all the pieces of conduit before I'd finished the first long video.
Wow.
So that just shows you how you've got to meet the audience on their platform. Now, we've got incredibly successful longer videos. And when we released them, we said, your conduit skills are a little rusty, was the thing. And the amount of electricians that were in there saying it was great to refresh and bent a piece of tube for 10 years.
Yeah.
They wanted probably that more, I'm back in a classroom style thing, whereas the younger person just need the information. I'll watch it again if I'm going to get it.
Interesting. Well, college is something we're going to come back to, because I'm really interested in that, especially as we were talking earlier. But I want to get your take on it, Mick. What do you think about, where do you go for news in the industry? Do you go to certain websites, or do you go to social media, or do you read a magazine?
I think it depends on how quick you want the information and how deep you want it as well. Because it's interesting what you were talking about there, where TikTok, that tends to spark the interest. And then if you want to get into it a little bit deeper, then you'll start delving and you'll come across then the greater sort of websites and maybe the longer video that gives you more explanation and stuff like that. That stop and pause and do what I was wanting to do and then move on. That's interesting as well, because you can take something very quick and just literally pause it, replicate it yourself, and then continue on. But I find that I tend to sort of drop in and out of the fast moving stuff, which then takes you into, if you want to dive into it more and get more detail.
I always find that because it's driven from a phone, a lot of younger people's social media habits. I mentioned that I obviously use the telly now for YouTube because I quite like that, sitting down and watching some longer stuff. But your phone is held that way round, isn't it? So we've got it in the portrait position. And if you've got a video that's actually would be better in landscape, you're only got, and then you're having to turn the phone. And you watch people when they're out, how many people hold their phone that way round in social aspects, or out in the public, watching stuff. It's very rare. Yeah. And as I live away from home a week, and the room I've got has got no TV in it, wouldn't play it anyhow because linear TV, who watches that? But again, I've had to, I'm balancing my phone or laying in the bed trying to do that, and it's annoying. Yeah. And I think, wow, I'm annoyed that I have to hold my phone because it's better that way round. And I can see over time people developing longer format content. I know they've just moved YouTube Shorts from 1 minute to 3 as a maximum length, which is fair enough. But having it in that position is just easier to watch. Can you get all your information effectively inside of a screen on a phone? So that'll be one to watch moving forward.